You have to understand, Twitter is full of crackheads, for lack of better terms. But what it's introduced in the comic book space is that there are people that, as I say all the time, that like the idea of certain things. Remember I talked about this before. Just because someone liked your shit, retweeted your shit, even has a picture of your brand does not mean that they are customers. Twitter is one of the more difficult. It can be useful, definitely for promotion efforts, but it's one of the more difficult things to read. Mainly because, again, just because you get likes, just because you get retweeted, and just because you even interact with some of these people does not mean that you or they are a customer. They're going to still reach into their pocket and say, I voluntarily purchase whatever item it is that you have. Those are two different concepts. Still, to this day, a lot of companies have no idea how to gauge that. They go all in, trying to appease Twitter mobs and weirdos, but those Twitter mobs often don't reach into their pockets. If you went by Twitter alone, you think characters like Miles Morales were the most famous, popular, lucrative characters that exist for Marvel. It's not. They tried to ram this fucking shit, and really the only time that they've made money, which in comparison to other Spider-Man movie, it hasn't done that well in comparison to other ones. But either way, the only thing that they make from Miles Morales that's significant that you could look at is that Spider-Verse movie. Aside from that, comic books are dog shit. Not just in content, but in the sales. Like, this isn't my opinion. You can go look them up yourself. They're still giving, what's his name, drawing a blank here, on a current run, which nobody was buying it when I was still getting comic books every Wednesday. But that run is still going. They're just bleeding money because they're throwing so much into that character, but they don't like them. Like I've said, they like the idea of a character like Miles, so they'll pirate your shit. They'll go look at a Wikipedia article, Google, become an expert overnight. But other than that, they're not really invested in this character like they are some of the others. That's just not my opinion. That's just a fact. However, if you went by Twitter alone, you'd think that that was to be the case. They're very petty. They're very spiteful. And unfortunately, these are the weirdos that they appeal to. Now, that's not to say that there aren't folks that they will point to, especially of the couple of comic book content creators that are out there that will co-sign a lot of this shit. In fact, a lot of the biggest comic book content creators are straight up people that, let's say, will shield for Marvel and or DC. Why? For various reasons. Some of it's access, some of it's wanting to be in the good graces of them. There's not a whole lot of me, which is why I've always thought that it was very funny that people would dare to call me a shield because I rally against some of the content. And I was like, if I really wanted to shield, they'll say I just do it for views. I was like, if I wanted the most views, I'd just be a run-of-the-mill comic book content creator that summarized stories. That's where the money's at. You know what I mean? Not what I'm doing. You know, I'm not the one gonna get invited to Marvel's podcast and stuff like that. You fucking crazy? But you got guys like this, and I don't know who this person is, but this is the Twitter mob of weirdos that they are trying to appeal to. Okay, as you see, it says you can cry all you want. Thor, Captain America. Why would you tweet something like that? Well, it's because you know that people take issue with these characters. Having the moniker of other characters that they are not. Now, I specifically think the one on the right is the most insulting one. I've said this many a times. It was a demotion. The fact that you had one of the first prominent original black characters that Marvel had conceptualized, then go grabs the sloppy seconds of Captain America when he was already his own original character, just goes to show how they really feel about black characters. They only see, you hear me say it all the time, they only see legitimacy in classically white characters. So in comparison, though both of these characters are dog shit, in comparison to the two, the one on the right, which is Sam Wilson being Captain America, is specifically the most insulting. But Jane Foster isn't Thor. We know that how they, it's funny how everybody wants comic book accuracy when it comes to some theme of social justice that they can perpetuate, right? Oh, now you care so much about the comic books. Any other time, what do they say? It's a different universe. Who cares that Marvel is now a woman that's nothing like Marvel? Who cares? It's a different universe. And now people have a problem with She-Thor. And now it's, oh, well, it happened in our comics. You don't give a shit about that. You only give a damn if it advances whatever causes. See, these characters are only liked by these weirdos because they think that it gets at us. And it does, to be fair. It does. Because people are like, who the fuck are these goofy ass characters? Who's interested in Jane Foster's store? Well, nobody, really. You know what I mean? Yeah, we know that it happened in the comics. We know Jane Foster gets cancer, and none of the narrative makes any sense. Yeah, she's getting cancer, and then she gets the Mjolnir, and all of a sudden she turns into Thor as she gets in the Mjolnir, even though Doctor Strange explains to her that it's kind of somewhat killing her. You have all of these people with this advanced sort of medicine that are willing to cure her or help her out, especially in Asgard, but apparently she doesn't want that because, reasons, and it doesn't make sense. It's just straight up plot armor. I don't know exactly what it is that you want to call it, but the concept of Jane Foster being Thor, and I ain't talking about the what if from back in the day. I'm talking about going to 2014, 2015. It was a dog shit concept. It never made any sense, and it never should have happened. But it did. And just like with everything from all new, all different Marvel, this is what you got. You got her, you got these tokenized race swap versions of a lot of different characters, and some of which you're going to start seeing now because that was when it all started, around that same era. But all this speaks to is that, well, people have a problem with them. You've now turned these characters into mantles, right? It's a mantle. That's what they are. It's a mantle. It's a mantle. So anybody can be Captain America. Anybody can be Thor, even though Thor is his motherfucking name. No matter how much y'all want to pretend it otherwise, those characters are not the characters that you portray them to be. They're pretenders. And we know in a given sense it's been temporary before. Now Captain America, because they're going to do it and they're doing what they're doing with the MCU, they had Captain Falcon. And then Captain Falcon goes back to being Falcon, and now he's Captain Falcon again. Because, again, they only see legitimacy in classically white characters. God forbid he just, be original Falcon. Jane Foster's Thor is not Thor. It's just Jane Foster cosplaying as Thor. That's it. And I get it. This type of stuff look, they're petty like this. Y'all got to understand it. They are very, very petty in that everybody that works for these companies, they are completely and totally aware of who this riles up. And they do this in spite or despite, however you want to say it. They do it in spite because they're spiteful type of people. And that's why it gets who they deem as their social political enemies in an uproar. And that's why they do it. And the Twitter weirdos and normies that they appeal to love this type of shit. Not because they love the characters. They have zero interest in these characters. Again, to be fair, they don't have capital. A lot of them are broke, so they don't have money to go buy comic books on Wednesdays anyway. But they don't actually like or enjoy these characters. What they do love is that it riles up the certain types of people that it riles up. So in the event that there's a race swap version of it, you're going to have folks like ourselves that are like, this is goofy and it's stupid, the people that actually care about it. And then they're like, oh, it takes it to them. I don't like it. So I will co-sign this race swap. It's not like they know anything about the character. Not like anything that they, for the most part, know is some shit that they Googled 10 minutes ago. That's it. Everybody's an expert on Jane Foster's Thor. Now that she's about to appear, they announced that, and she barely could pick up that fake ass fucking Mjolnir, and she barely could pick that shit up. They were all, next thing you know, you go look at that Marvel Wiki, she's the #1 looked up character. Why? Because now everybody's an expert. Who is this character? Oh, that's who she is. She's a female Thor. I love her. I always loved you fucking poser. You ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling nobody. But as this happens more and more, I'm telling y'all, there's no reason to get bent out of shape about it. Just laugh at them. Just laugh at these spiteful idiots and stop giving them your money. They're not interested in it. Let these spiteful people, this is what I suggest. Let these spiteful assholes actually have to depend on the money from the spiteful, broke assholes that they're appealing to. Let them do that. Let them, they believe in this character so much, so let them depend on those pissy broke people. Stop funding this garbage. It's Disney anyway. You should just stop funding Disney. Stop funding this trash. Stop, because if they don't have your money, they don't have anything. They like to pretend that they could depend on, these spiteful weirdos over on Twitter. That's not how that works. We know, number one, that's a demographic of people that ain't got no money. That's first and foremost. But on the other hand, as much as Disney has drawn their little line in the sand about who they're going to be like appealing to and working for, really, if it were not for non-leftists, they would, if it weren't for them, they would not be the Disney as you know of today. So they can pretend otherwise, but this is the real thing. They're cocky. They're cocky enough because, and they've been proven right in some sense, they're cocky that they think that they could shit on half of the voting population and those that don't, like myself, that aren't these raging leftist dipshits. They think, well, we get to say what we're going to say and you're not going to do anything about it. So we're not going to see any consequence. So why wouldn't I continue to talk shit? That's how they operate. So my suggestion is, okay, let's see what you got. Let's see if you can depend solely on those crack smokers on Twitter. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.